Hey guys, welcome back to Talk Story. My name is Gavin, and this is the podcast where we build communities together, one conversation at a time. I'm here with Samantha Lockwood today, and we just went through really intense Bikram Hot Yoga. I'm drenched right now. I'm wearing a black shirt, and you guys can't even notice. But yeah, look at this. I'm literally it's weighted. So
He's still sweating.
I'm still sweating.
Well,
and
that's good. That means the yoga is working. Yeah.
And I feel, honestly, right now I feel pretty good. I feel really relaxed.
Yeah. Just being in that hot room for 90 minutes just relaxes you and like de-stresses you, which is, I'd say that's one of the number one reasons I love this yoga practice so much, because it's really therapeutic. It's not just a workout, but it's also really relaxing. So people who can't sleep well at night or have anxiety or stress, they come in here and then they detoxify and relax and just feel better. And then you kind of just tone up, lose weight, and you like just get more flexible, stronger. But there's just so many good side effects, good benefits from this practice.
And being in that room, I feel it tested me a little bit, because I really were tempted to go outside. I've never in my life felt like I was going to pass. Like, I've never felt that feeling of passing out. Even I was like choked by MMA fighters before, and that felt like the feeling
harder,
it felt way harder.
More challenging. Yeah.
More challenging.
Well, the reason why, you feel challenged is because there's other people there, and like there's a sequence, there's a formula. It's 90 minutes. You're supposed to just stay in the room and do your best and not leave. So it's like you have a goal in mind, and when you like don't meet the goal, you're like, you get like frustrated. But that's also what makes us grow and makes us benefit and keeps us mentally stronger, physically stronger in every way. So I'm glad you pointed that out, because everybody thinks yoga is like really for grandmas and it's easy, but it's actually really intense.
It's hard, guys.
Yeah.
And especially with the room, the setting, it's hot. 40-degree humidity.
Yeah.
Instantly you go in there and you start sweating.
Yeah.
And you could just feel the
intensity.
building.
Yeah. We had a lot of fighters coming in here, like MMA, jiu-jitsu guys. Athletes of all kind, like Bikram yoga. We have like Navy SEAL guys. We've got people sit at desks all day who are not even athletes. We have all kinds of people come in here, and they just do it to tone up and feel better about everything. I feel like it's just good for mental clarity, physical, and increases your endurance. So we get a lot of runners who come in here.
Right.
But yeah, I was saying a lot of jiu-jitsu people, a lot of martial arts people like Bikram yoga, because it's set, it's a fixed sequence. It's 90 minutes, 26 postures, two breathing exercises. And every time you get to do the same thing. So you get to see yourself improve over time.
So you are one of the rare people that do traditional, authentic Bikram yoga, Bikram Hot Yoga.
That is true. I stuck to my roots. I definitely stuck to a traditional method of this practice. There's a lot of different kinds of studios that have spun off all around the world. And a lot of them will change the sequence or, lower the heat or change something about the sequence. Even keep the sequence the same, but hire a teacher that's not certified by Bikram, and it's just a whole different experience. So in my school, I only ever hire Bikram certified people who have also been recertified, and we only offer these postures taught the way we were taught and in a certain kind of environment. That means with the lights on, no music, with a dialogue, which is basically, a very descriptive how to, not just what postures to do, but how to do the postures. So our teachers, I consider our teachers to be the most skilled teachers out there, as far as like what their ability is to lead people in and out of postures. If they're really sticking to the roots, to me, that's what works. And so, because it's worked for me, and I've seen it work for thousands of people in my life, and it's worked for millions of people all over the world. This is one of the more proven, popular yoga methods worldwide, and it's because it really does work. There's all kinds of yogas, and they're all good. I've seen people who do Iyengar or they do Ashtanga, and they're benefiting from that practice just as well. But in my opinion, Bikram is really good for beginners because we talk you in and out of every posture. The heat helps you stretch better and loosens you up so that by the time you get to some of our more intense back and forward bending postures, you are ready, your body's ready, you're open. So I believe it's safe. I think it's the most safe, proven, effective, therapeutic yoga for beginners.
Mm. And it's a great, like when I stepped out of that room, I actually felt a little bit of a release because,
Yeah.
you know, just kind of a weight was off my shoulders and I felt a
Yeah.
little lighter
You
actually.
feel lighter.
Yeah. It's a different feeling than I'm used to. You
Yes.
know? Mhm.
Well, it's funny you say that because I've always heard people say, like, I feel like I'm like in another world. Like I'm almost like in another place. Like you're so oxygenated and your mind is so focused, but at the same time, you're just like, you just feel like your feet don't even touch the ground. You're just like floating.
A little high.
Little high. Yeah, like you're high. You just like float out of the room. That's why we call it yoga brain.
So you actually became a certified yoga instructor, Bikram yoga instructor when you were 17 years old. Tell us about that experience.
I have such a story. Yeah.
Yes.
I have a big story about my journey with Bikram yoga. First off, I will say it goes way back before I was even born. My father is an actor. My dad's a very famous, well-known and respected
Right.
sci-fi veteran actor. You know, he's been in Star Trek. He was the star of 2001 Space Odyssey. Starred in 2 movies with Elvis, Splendor in the Grass, on and on. And so 1970s, he met Bikram with a guy named Keir Dullea, who was the other star of 2001 Space Odyssey, who at the time was practicing Bikram.
Oh, wow.
Now, my dad didn't pick up the practice until he met my mother. My mother was also an actress. They met on
And
a
a
movie.
producer.
Yeah, she became a producer
right.
of infomercials later. But my mom was an actress, and back when she and my dad were together, my mom had discovered Bikram through a fitness class. She was going to a Richard Simmons class.
Oh.
Yeah, and she saw this older lady in the locker room who was like in her 60s or 70s, and she had this banging body. And my mom was like, "What do you do to stay in shape?" My mom was in her early 20s. And the woman says, "Oh, I do yoga. I do Bikram yoga with a guy named Bikram." And so my mom said, "I want to go one day." So my mom shows up to class wearing sweatpants and like her little like 80s, you know,
Oh, wow.
like
That's
full
so
on
cool.
like long pants, long everything.
I want to see a picture.
Sweatshirt, yeah.
That'd be cool.
I wish I had a picture. And at the time, all these movie stars were in there. There was Raquel Welch and like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. They were all
Amazing.
Bikram students. And so my mom shows up. She thinks she's going to kill it because she's like in her early 20s. But she died, apparently. She was like, "I just had no idea how hard it was. It was just one of the hardest things I'd ever done. And I was wearing all these clothes." She goes, "The next day, I knew that that was one of the best workouts I'd ever done." She went back to class right away with appropriate yoga wear on the next time. And she just stuck to it. And then finally, she got my dad in there because my dad had a football injury.
Oh,
He used to play
okay.
football for UCLA. His knee was all jacked up. And she's like, "Okay, dude, you can't even walk properly, so you have to do yoga." And he's like, "Fine, if it'll stop you from nagging me, I'll go to class." So he goes to class with her. And that's kind of when my story started, because really that's like when my family started doing Bikram yoga all the time and studying with Bikram. And then later on, years passed by, and Bikram and his new wife, Rajashri, had started a teacher training. And at that time, I was 17 years old, and my mom got a piece of mail. This, I think, is before like email or something, or like right around the time when email was like phasing into being like the new thing. So we were
Right.
still sending out mail. So anyway, you got a piece of mail, and my mom was like, "Oh, wow, he's got a teacher training. You should go one summer." And that was about it. And the rest is history. I went to teacher training. I was the youngest person in history to be certified at the time. I think there's a couple other young people who've gone through now. And I just took to it. I took to it like a baby dolphin takes to water. I mean, I was just in it. I loved it. I was good at it. I was already really an athlete before that. I loved playing volleyball. So for me, yoga was a way for me to just apply myself physically. And I didn't love running track. Running track for me was never like my favorite thing to do. I was good at the 440, but it was a way for me to feel like I could get my heart rate up, I could stay in shape, and I could do something that required a little more mental attention versus just like throwing your body parts around like you do when you're like lifting weights or doing stuff. It's like, this is very much a mind body connectedness. And I liked it. I like how it really pushed me mentally. And, so anyway, I just fell in love with this practice right away, and I stuck to it, and it works for me. And I've tried all kinds of yoga, but every time I feel like I'm kind of going off the path, or like I've kind of like tried other things and I'm not feeling my best, I know that if I go take a class, it resets me all over again. And I just, every time I'm like, wow, this is why I build studios, is because this yoga works. It's very simple.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you do an amazing job. Your students are truly amazing, I think. And
Thank you.
Full of heart, full of spirit. I especially feel
Yeah.
their spirit when I get in there, and they truly enjoy it.
Thank you.
And that's rewarding.
Yeah. Bikram yoga people, I feel like, are people who are really, they're ready to either be challenged and pushed, or face themselves, or they know it's not going to be easy, but they are ready for that. They're ready for a challenge. They're ready for a change. And I wish more people would come to this practice and just humble themselves to the experience and kind of let the ego go, so to speak, because it really is a shedding of like what, even just believing that you can't do it. Like, you guys came in not knowing anything about the practice, and you just did your best. But had I said, oh, it's going to be really hot and it's really long, it's going to be really hard, you might have been like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And just that self-doubt is what stops us a lot of times from just doing something. So a lot of times when you're just innocent, you're a blank slate, you don't know, you go in and you get more benefit. Yeah, there's no expectations. And then you receive so much benefit because you're just open. So we always say, come in with an open mind, come in with an open heart, come in and do your best, and have just no expectations of yourself and of your practice. And I encourage my teachers here to teach, to push you, but at the same time to encourage you, to like show like true, genuine love for the students, because that's really what we're trying to do. We love this practice and we practice it ourselves, and we are here to like give that to you guys. It's a gift more than like, oh, we're taking from you, take your money and run. No, we're here to give. We're here to give to you guys and to build community. And when we come from that place, I feel like the students feel it, the community feels it, the teachers feel it too, even in themselves. So that's what I'm all about. I just wanted to create a space here in Honolulu where teachers could come and really give something that gave so much to them. And some of them are really humbling themselves to just having a place where they can teach something that they believe in. Right. Sometimes you get like somebody coming to town who just wants to stand up, teach a class, and just take some yoga for a week or something like that. The
experience.
Just for the experience, right. Yeah. Especially new teachers who just graduated training, they just want to be able to get up and try to teach a class. A lot of times they can't even make it through the whole class without stumbling, and I've occasionally had to like be like, oh, I'll finish the class for you. Don't worry, sit down, I got this. Because it takes years to become a good teacher. I say, not just because you went to a teacher training, and that's a teacher training of any kind, doesn't mean that you really are a good teacher. It doesn't, just because you say I did a yoga training doesn't mean you really are developed as a yoga teacher yet. It takes, in my opinion, I think it takes years. I really do. I think you have to be tested. I think you have to try and teach in different rooms, different studios for different studio owners. You have to teach for different kinds of students. People all over the world are different everywhere you go. So, I taught in Istanbul. I've taught in Milan, Tokyo. I've taught in like 30 different cities all over the world. Seriously. And
amazing.
It's so different everywhere you go.
The people.
Yeah. Just how you talk to them.
The culture.
How you approach them. Sometimes you got to be a little more pushy. Sometimes you got to be a little nicer. Sometimes you got to be a little more explanatory. Because every culture is different.
Amazing amount of experience. And going off of your experience with Bikram Yoga, you actually had a practice in Kauai.
Kauai.
All right.
I did. I love Kauai. I have very good, fond memories of Kauai. Kauai was my first like place I call home in all of Hawaii. I've actually been coming to the Hawaiian Islands since I was a kid. So since I was like 4 or 5 maybe. And my dad actually worked here. He shot a series here called Follow the Sun. And my mom worked here in her 20s. She shot an episode of Charlie's Angels here.
Wow.
In Waikiki.
Amazing.
Yeah. And my dad shot another episode of Hawaii Five-0, the original here as well. That was in the original show called School for Assassins. Anyway, my family, my parents, they've all been coming here for years and years and years. And so I always fantasized about Hawaii, like spending more time here. And I have a jewelry line that I developed, and I started selling it at these little fairs in Kauai one summer. And it kind of brought me back for more time because next summer, you know, my mom had a home in Honolulu. So the next time I went back, I was like, okay, I'll stay a couple more weeks. So first time was 2 weeks, then it was a month, and then it was like 2 months. And then I went around the world teaching, and I came back, and my mom said, "You're always gone. We miss you. Will you please just sit in one place and stay still?" And I said, "Okay, well, yeah, but you know, what should we do here?" And she's like, "Well, there's a studio in Kapa'a. Maybe you should do that. Maybe you should just run that school." And long story short, I ended up planting myself down in Kapa'a. I moved from Los Angeles to Kapa'a, and I ran a little studio there in the middle of Kapa'a town for a couple of years, about 3 years, 4 years, since 2015 to about 2018. Actually, 2019 till a few months ago. I was still under my, you know,
ownership.
Yeah. So I did that for a long time. But, you know, again, it's really hard to be present for a community when I've been traveling a lot and I'm still needed in other places in the world. And then I felt like Oahu was kind of calling me. I had a lot of connections here from my acting work. I'm an actress still. And I'm still, you know, wanting to do more of my acting work because even though I love the yoga, I'm an actor at heart as well. So that's what I trained to do for years and years. Since the time I was 17, I lived in LA and I was an actress and shot a movie called Shoot the Hero. I was
with Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo, yeah. And Jason Mewes. Yeah. And then and my friend Mike Hatton and Paul Sloan were both in that movie with a guy named Christian Sesma. They just did a movie called Green Book.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, Green Book. Mike played one of the guys in that, and so was Paul. Anyway, Green Book was the Oscar winner, and now they're in Louisiana again, and they're shooting another movie, and they just called me and said, "We want you to come back and work with us." So I'm going to go work with them in Louisiana. It's on a scene with Nick Cage, and Nick Cage is starring in the film.
Wow, exciting.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. But so anyway, I still do the acting stuff and I'm still, you know, working on that. But at the same time, I have felt so passionate about Bikram yoga, how much it's helped me and helped my family, that it's really hard for me to like turn a blind eye to wanting to help see this yoga,
right?
You know, practice preserved the right way,
the tradition,
the traditional way, and protected and persevere, because I do believe that it really works. You know, I mean, a lot of other studios add other things to their schedule. And they're shorter. They do there's all kinds of things out there, which, you know, I don't want to like totally poo-poo everybody else's way, because everybody does what they do. But I personally just don't think that taking this particular series and watering it down, it makes it less effective. It's like a prescription, right? You can't take one antibiotic and expect your whole, like, you know, problem to be gone.
Or cut it down.
Cut it down, right? You have to like do everything step by step, 90 minutes in the heat, then it works. So, and the more you do it, the more you really understand that, like that some people cut out savasana, or they cut out the breathing exercise. And, you know, essentially people are doing that because they're trying to make it shorter for people. Because people think, oh, I'll just get in, I'll practice, and I'll leave. There's this whole mindset of like fast results, right? The 20-minute workout, the 5-minute workout, the, you know, I want my Instagram right now. I want her to text me back right. You know what I mean? Like people are so used to this like instant gratification type of culture. And
instant success.
Instant gratification, instant success. And I'm like, it just doesn't work like that.
Right.
Anything that it takes time to build also takes time to lose it. So if you take the time to like really build your practice the right way, you put in the time, put in the effort. It's like any kind of art form, you know, like a martial art, like jujitsu or like a karate or hula or anything like that, where people have put in the years and years and years, or fire dance to perfect it. Then they become the master of it. Then they become good at it. Then they then they really get, it really sinks in, you know? And I feel like that's the same thing with a yoga practice. Like the more you really put the time and effort into doing all the postures the right way and consistently, then you gain the benefit.
You get the
then
the
you
benefits,
really benefit.
right.
Yeah.
So going off of, maybe switching gears a little bit.
Sure.
Going to your jewelry line, actually, it's called Fleurings.
Fleurings, yeah.
And I think it's a really neat concept because you have necklaces and earrings that you can put little flowers in, and you can put little water in there. It's like
Isn't
a little
it
vase.
cute? It's so perfect for
it's
Hawaii.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they were on the cover of the Star Advertiser one year, actually.
Oh, nice.
and then well, we had Bethany Hamilton actually bought them all for all her bridesmaids for her wedding.
Wow.
So they're really good for weddings too. I know a lot of people like them, like if they're coming to visit Hawaii, like a lot of Japanese girls like them because it's like a Hawaii feeling thing. You know, it's like you put orchids
like a
in
hibiscus or something.
Actually, hibiscus they kind of like fall out
because
they're kind of big, but like a little orchid looks really cute in my jewelry. And I can't tell you how many compliments people get, like when they wear it with an orchid and then they go out at night or go to a dinner, because there's something about wearing a flower that
something
makes
natural,
very natural and very like automatically, it's almost like you're wearing this naturally attractive thing.
And it stands out.
It stands out big time. So I feel like, there was even a study done in France where this woman was asking for money for the subway. Okay. She asked 100 people. 50 people she asked with an artificial flower 3 inches in diameter in her hair. And 50 people she asked without the flower. Like just, hey, can I have some money for the subway?
Interesting.
And out of the 50 people that she asked wearing a visible flower 3 inches in diameter, 87% more likely, more successfully got money from a stranger.
Wow.
So there's something about that
That's
aloha
cool.
spirit, wearing a flower, that people trust you. And they said it automatically elicits comfort, and it elicits positive emotions and positive connection between two people when you're wearing flowers. So I feel like Hawaii had it right all these years, you know, like the Hawaiian culture. It's
Right.
they don't wear diamonds.
Yeah.
I mean, pearls was like a new thing to wear pearls. I feel like everybody just wore flowers.
Or
It's
lei.
like
Right?
it's lei, but that's 1,000 flowers.
Right.
You know, it's like it's God's diamonds. I feel like flowers are like naturally the most attractive thing. And it's funny, I take my dog for walks and my dog stops and smells flowers.
Oh, that's
and you
cute.
see bees smell flowers and butterflies, and then, you know, women and men, like everybody loves flowers. Like the shape, the color, the scent of a flower draws like every creature to it. I think it's designed to do that. So that way we go and smell it, touch it, and then that's how it fertilizes itself. So I think it's like supposed to be attractive to everything.
And it's like a cycle, right? We're
like, oh, it's a flower.
attracted to it, and they're drawing us into it. Like, oh, come smell me.
Come smell me. So I love flowers. I've always loved flowers. My grandmother like loved growing flowers, and I don't know. I got into wearing them when I was a kid. My grandmother used to put hibiscus behind my ear. And then one day when I was in my early 20s, I was an actor in Hollywood. I'd left university, went to acting classes every day. My mom's like, you should get a job, you know, like get a real job, making some money. I was like, okay, what do you think I should do? She's like, well, you know, I'm helping pay for your rent, so you should get like some job doing like maybe waiting tables. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't say that. I don't want to do that. She's like, well, it's a cash job. You'll make good money and fast, you know, and then you're in and out and you just do a few hours. And she's like, just give it a shot. So I did. I got a job downstairs from my apartment in this place called Barney's Burgers or something.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was like a brand new burger place. I'd never bust a table in my life. Okay.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like young. I have no idea how to do this. So my first few days on the job, I'm kind of like showing up late, dragging my feet. I didn't really want to be there. And my boss was always like, okay, your hair is wet. Okay, you didn't bring a pen to work. Okay, you forgot your apron. Like just basic things that I was just kind of half-assing the job. And so I was kind of hoping that I'd get fired because I didn't want to be there. And I could tell my mom, like, I tried, it just didn't work. And anyway, I called my grandmother because my mom's like, call grandma. Your grandmother raised 5 kids on the money she made on a bar and grill in Granada Hills, and she knows everything about the restaurant business. So my grandmother says, well, honey, if you want to make better tips, all you got to do is wear flour in your hair. She's from Louisiana, so she talks like that. I said, okay, grandma, sounds good. I'll give it a shot, thinking like that's baloney. And I tried it. I go to work the next day, and there's this big red hibiscus bush in front of my job. Yeah. Thank you. And
very convenient.
Very convenient, right? I was like, okay. So I grab one and I pick it, put it behind my ear, and I'm like, here's to you, grandma. I walk in the door, and my boss, for the first time, he's like, nice flower. And I'm like, what side of the bed did he wake up on? He's in a good mood. Okay, thank you. First compliment I've had in 5 weeks. And then all of my coworkers were like these like skinny Beverly Hills girls, you know, and they were like, oh my God, pretty flower. Where'd you get it? It's so nice. I like it. Is it real? And I'm like, yes, thank you. And all of my, the cooks in the back, these Mexican guys, they were so sweet to me. They're like, mija, I love your flower. She's so pretty. Where'd you get your flower? And I'm like, oh, thanks guys. It's bonita. Yeah. And you know, we like talked, and then all of my regular customers were like, hey, nice. That's a pretty flower. Wow. Where'd you get that? And I'm like, oh yeah, you just picked it outside. It just became a conversation piece between us. By the end of my shift, and I'm not joking, I'm not kidding, I usually made like maybe 15 on a slow shift, like not 15, 20 bucks to like $35 on a slow shift. Okay. That day I made about $57 in a couple hours just serving burgers. And for me, for that place, that was like a big deal. You know, I walked out, I'm like, I made like $55 in like 3 hours. That was amazing. That was so cool. I went home. I felt like the queen of the castle. And I was like, but my flower had died, and it was like kind of like stuck in my hair, and it was falling, and it was like, oh, I need water. It was so funky and weird. And so I'm like, okay, how do I keep a flower fresh and like nicely hanging, not stuck in my hair and falling apart? How can I keep a flower fresh for a whole shift? That's how I came up with my jewelry line. I was like, okay, I'll create like a little vase, and it holds water, and you put a flower in it. And then I made a necklace and an earring after. Or no, I made the earrings first and then the necklace after. And then I was featured in Accessories magazine. And the editor's like, oh, yeah, you're going to get all these big, you know, people wanting to come and work with you. Well, right after that happened, Tiffany's came out with the Elsa Peretti newly shaped bottle pendant. You could also wear a flower in it, saying she was the one who came up with the idea to hold a flower vase. And I was the one featured in the magazine. They were, instead of working with me, they changed their old bottle-shaped pendant and started promoting me. So a lot of my original customers were like, we're so proud of you. You're working with Tiffany's. And I was like, what? No, I'm not. And I look in the magazine, and I see that they'd kind of taken the idea and ran with it. Yeah. Which is okay. I mean, whatever. They sell their product at, you know, $600 or whatever. And mine is still like 55. Yeah, it's a stainless steel. And I still think my jewelry looks way cooler. Like it's way more slender, holds more water. It's more
rose
designed.
gold. There's rose gold color.
Oh yeah, and you can just, they're plated with different colors. Like for me, I still like what I do better, so I don't care.
I think it's so creative that people can take around a flower on their ears, literally. I mean, something natural, and it's going to sustain itself because you have the water in the vase. In the vase.
Yeah, you can even take it off and like hang it up at night, and then when you,
I never thought about that.
Yeah, and then the next day get up and put them back on again. And sometimes orchids will last like 2-3 days. But if you're out in the hot sun and you're touching it all the time, the flower doesn't last. But if you're like sitting in the office wearing the jewelry, and it's like AC, and then you take it off at night and you hang it up. I've worn the same flower like a few days in a row. But yeah, but it's great for Hawaii because we have so many pretty orchids and flowers here. I love orchids, so those are my favorite ones to wear.
So I want to talk about your acting experience.
Sure.
And your father is Gary Lockwood.
Mm-hmm.
Just to let all our audience know, he was one of the stars in the 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Correct.
He was in the TV series Lieutenant.
Yeah.
And he's very well known amongst the acting community.
Yeah,
right?
the
Tom
film,
Hanks.
the whole film community.
The whole
yeah.
film community. So also your mom was an actress as well.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me the experience growing up with both parents being actors, doing, very well known in the community.
My mom was kind of getting to a place where she could have been a more well-known actor at one point, but it never really hit it big because she was she kind of went into doing infomercials by the time she was about 30 something.
Okay.
Like her whole career shifted. But my dad was really, like the one who was a well-known actor. And he was, in my opinion, still one of the most talented actors I've ever met. So my dad had an amazing career, and it started when he was really young. He was like 18, 19 when he did Bus Stop and then Splendor in the Grass. And he just had a tremendous career for many, many years until about the age of 55. And then he just felt like he didn't want to really go into doing auditions anymore. All of Hollywood changed really because actors used to have like a whole lineup of movies for the year. Like the studio system had them so that like this actor belonged to this studio and they would do these projects. And so everything was kind of like set up for you. But then things shifted and actors became more like independent contractors, and you see a lot of actors now producing their own things.
Right.
And
independent films.
Yeah. So when the whole shift happened, a lot of the actors that came from the generation before, some of them got really upset and they didn't like the way that the shift had happened. And I personally got upset too, because even as an actress starting off in Hollywood when I was younger, I had all these hopes of being able to make like really cool stories and great movies. And I was auditioning a lot now for like reality TV. And I was like, this is not what I wanted to do. This is not what I want. This is not the thing that inspired me to become an actor. And then you'd audition for things where you were like the girlfriend or the lesbian lover who gets eaten by the shark and then gets her head decapitated by the alligator or what, all these random things that I'm like, this is not really cinema to me. Like this is like video games.
There's no substance.
There's not a whole lot of story. There's not a whole lot of character. It's just a lot about like special effects and,
CGI.
Video games, CGI. I like the Marvel stuff. Like I think they do a pretty good job of developing characters that I want to watch. But a lot of movies these days, I'm just like, oh my God, this is just like, why don't I just go play a video game and I can make my own movie? Like they're just selling video games. That's all they're doing. I don't really feel like a lot of the people making movies even are watching old movies or watching how to create characters that are very interesting. It's very rare, in my opinion, to get a movie that hits on everything. Like it's a good story, it's engaging, it's, just not very many filmmakers who can do that. There's a couple. There's a guy who made that movie, American Hustle, and he made Silver Lining Playbook and Joy. Oh my God, David. And he's a great director. He's a great director because he's a great writer too. And he really understands character development and knows how to put a scene together. And I hope to work for directors like that who really know how to bring the most out of an actor and push them a little bit. So that you don't give a slick performance or a shitty performance. I want a director who's like really knows the characters and really knows what he wants from actors and like helps push you to your edge. Because obviously it's our job to bring an edge and to bring the character to life. Right. But it's also a director's job to know how to get you to that level too a little bit and bring it out. No,
they're supposed to direct, right?
You're
supposed to lead. Yeah. Everybody in this.
Like, and there's all different kinds of movies. I mean, there are movies that are built more around characters that push you to that level of deep digging inside yourself. And then I feel like there are movies where it's all about the action, like that Hobbs and Shaw movie. And I watched a trailer recently where I saw the director was a choreographer, and he understands martial arts, and he's developing those characters around how they do their action. He's like, I feel like these characters are all going to fight differently, so I'm shooting the fights differently, and I'm choreographing the fights differently. And I feel like a director who understands fighting and that kind of stunt choreography, has that background, will be the best person to direct those kinds of characters. And
those kind of action films, right?
Yeah, it's like, depending on your genre, I feel like the director really needs to study how to get that out of the actors too.
And they have that experience and be able to bring that experience into the film.
The film, and get the shots right. I went to directing school for a little while because I really wanted to understand, as an actor, what's the difference in my performance if the frame is here versus here versus, way far back. Because my dad always told me that. He's like, it really depends what your framing is, how you perform, right? You do a lot less if the camera's tight on you versus what you'll do in a 2-shot or if the camera's way back there. And things like that he always gave me. He said, the longer you live, the more you travel, the more life experience you have, the deeper your well becomes as an actor. So you don't just say, oh, I want to be an actor until I make it big and then you're done. No, you just commit to being an actor for your entire life.
That's the lifestyle.
That's the lifestyle. You commit to it, you stick with it. It's what you do, it's what you are. And one day or the next, the right things will come your way. So that's my theory. That's what I believe. Right? I mean, you're not just a fisherman one day, and the minute you don't catch tuna, you're not a fisherman anymore. No, you go and fish every day. You still fish. You still think.
It's not just a hobby.
No, you take it seriously.
Right, you take it seriously.
So I do take acting seriously, and I do take my, this yoga seriously, both.
So you do so many different things. You do, you're a yoga instructor, certified yoga instructor.
Bikram yoga.
Certified
Bikram style.
Bikram style. Yeah. You have your own business. You're an entrepreneur with Fleurings. You're a model, and you're an actress.
Yeah.
So
modeling's like a fun side thing.
Yeah, it's a fun side thing.
Yeah.
So with everything you do, how would you define yourself? What would you say your career is and everything? And
Samantha Lockwood, flower child. I'm kidding. No, people have said, well, you're like a Renaissance woman. You do this, you do that. I define myself by being a person who I go after the things that I like. And that includes like relationships, with people who I like working with. That includes, I get inspired by, the things that motivate me and change me. I wanted to be an actor because I loved movies. I loved Meryl Streep. For me is like God. I mean, I love her work. And when I watched her work, I was so inspired to want to be like that, to do roles that I could really put myself into.
And you met her.
And I met her. Yeah, I did meet her. She's amazing. She was, she told me, she kind of said the same thing my dad said. It was basically like, there's a lot of ups and downs in this business, and you have to learn how to sort of ride through all of them. So she loves my dad's work too. She was like a big fan of my dad. She's like, oh, he's a fine actor. But yeah, lovely lady. Anyway, so people like that have inspired me. And not just her, but the roles she had a chance to do early on in her career and the way she did them. I was inspired to be an actress a lot of the time because of people like her. And my dad too. My dad and I would always tell funny jokes and put on voices, like he's the German scuba instructor who's going to kill the shark on the way to school.
That's pretty good.
We do the voice, and I'm like, now I have all these voices I do. So I've had a lot of fun with acting, and I've always enjoyed it. And so I don't know, the people in my life have inspired me to want to do that, but it seems that not all these really cool roles and opportunities have inspired me to want to put more effort into it at times, because like when all you get is like reality TV and like, oh, you can be in The Amazing Race, and oh, you can get your name out there, and I'm like, I didn't really care about getting my name out there. I cared more about like trying to do
stuff that's meaningful,
something that I enjoyed doing, like work that I wanted to actually do.
Right.
So anyway, I mean, now I now I'm like very well known in the yoga community. You know, my name is like out there with yoga, because when I got a little like forget Hollywood for a minute in my late 20s, I was about 29, and I decided that I wanted to travel for a couple of years and teach. Actually, it was later. I think I was about 30 by that time. And so I decided I was going to travel and teach for a couple of years. And then I came back and kind of like settled back in and started doing some more work. And I did Hawaii 5-0, and I've done like a couple music video things. And yeah. So now hopefully this year we'll bring some more TV work too. I don't know in what capacity, but I know they're trying to figure out how they're going to put me in one of those shows there.
And I think you have many opportunities ahead of you.
I think so too. I think so too. Yeah. My mom actually recently passed away, unfortunately. And it's funny because before she passed away, very unexpectedly, by the way, very unexpectedly, she said, I really think you should do some more acting like in the next few years. I think your studio is going to do really well, but I think you should do some more acting. It's kind of like my mom's, some of her last words. So I was like, yeah, I agree. I kind of miss it. I kind of got stuck in Kauai for a couple of years. It's very hard for me to leave that community. I didn't want to like just up and go. And so many times I just didn't feel safe with how the studio would go down and who was going to run the studio. Cause I've worked really hard to maintain and preserve this 90-minute practice. And that studio was all about that. So it wasn't until actually I came here, and then I met another woman named Gretchen Olson, who ran a studio at Bikram Yoga Fremont Street in Portland. She had a partner up there, and they said, well, you know, we really like the way you've run your studio. We really respect the fact that you have a 90-minute studio, and we want to continue to run it like that. And so I finally, for the first time in years, felt safe passing the torch on to somebody else. Because it's like anything you build, you want to maintain it.
It's
you
like
know,
your baby,
it's
right?
a baby. Yeah. It's totally your baby. You're like, wow, I can't just let it go to somebody that I'm not sure what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, like I wanted to make 100% sure that they were going to maintain it the way we built it. And they have, and they've done a great job. I'm super proud of them. I'm super proud of my students over there who keep going and maintaining it and, you know, keeping it real. Yeah.
So as we wrap up today, what would you want to tell our audience for, what kind of message would you want our audience to get out of this podcast?
Whatever your dreams are, never give up. Just keep trying. One day or the next, you'll get there. Good things happen. Energy is never created nor destroyed, right? So you just keep putting out the intention, the right way, the hard work, the effort towards whatever your goals are, and eventually things come back if your intention is right and you're trying the right way.
Awesome. Thank you again, Sam, for joining me on my podcast and taking us and my film crew here through our this intense.
You guys did a great job. I know. I feel like you didn't know what you're getting into, but you really did a great job.
It's great, and I kept smiling.
You did.
And I was huffing and puffing, and I'm still huffing and puffing, but I kept smiling because I was like, wow, it's a great sweat for me, and this is good. You know?
Good.
Therapeutic.
I'm so happy. You have such a good attitude, by the way. I really love your attitude, and anybody who listens to your podcast is going to be super blessed because I feel like you really care about, you know, I feel like you get interested and you really care about stuff and you do things with a good heart. And I think that you're going to be really blessed with a good, successful podcast.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I try my best. I mean, a lot of people have been asking me to film these podcasts, and I tell them, I film in Cherokee, I film at all these places, and they don't believe me sometimes. So now I want to show them I'm here. I'm spending time with my guests, and I'm spending time learning what they are experiencing and getting into their world. And that's just a little bit finding, you know, Bikram yoga.
And we spent a whole afternoon together talking story even before we shot so that you'd know what you wanted to talk about. So, and I feel like when you take a little time, especially doing the job that you do, which is really trying to build community and understand what people have to offer, I think it just builds more trust and builds wisdom and builds like an understanding. Because, you know, a lot of people don't necessarily even trust me here in Hawaii because I'm Haole and because, you know, I'm like coming here with something that looks like a business. But I mean, in all truth, I look at yoga like it's such a gift, and it's something that people
A passion.
of all colors, all races, all shapes, all sizes, doesn't matter, tall, short, rich, poor, who you are, where you came from. Everywhere around the world, people benefit from this practice. And I'm not just selling it. Like, it's not just trying to get people like to buy Gucci shoes. No, this is hard. You saw how hard this was.
Yep.
It was hard, right?
Yep.
It's like no pain, no gain kind of like, it's not easy. But so I know I'm doing it because I have the intention of bringing yoga to people so it helps better their lives. You know, that's why I want to do it.
Amazing.
That's why I like doing it.
And thank you for bringing traditional Bikram yoga to Oahu.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Thank you.
people can learn the right way.
There are definitely there's a couple studios that still have really good 90-minute classes. I know my friend Vicky on the North Shore is committed to keeping her studio 90 minutes, and she's done a great job too. Yeah.
That's a shout out to you, Vicky.
Yeah, Vicky Wells. Yeah. Anyway, thank you again for having me on your
Thank
show.
you.
It's
And
a pleasure.
Where can people find you, and maybe your website? You might want to plug in your website.
Yeah, well, the studio is Hot Yoga College of India, and my jewelry is Fleurings, which is the French word for flower, fleur, Fleurings, Fleurings. You can probably just Google Samantha Lockwood jewelry, and that'll come up on your Google search. Yeah, that's about it.
Or Samantha Lockwood IMDb.
And IMDb, yes,
Right.
I'm on it. Of course, the acting stuff is all over the place.
Yep.
All my acting and photo shoot stuff is everywhere. Yeah.
Or Star Advertiser, Fleurings, right?
Yep.
There's a lot
out
of
there.
places you can find
Yeah,
her.
you can find me out there. I was on a couple other shows here too. The High Now, Hawaii News Now,
Okay, yeah.
Hawaii News, and then Living 808 did an interview with Trini. I don't want to mess up saying her last name. Kaupuiki? Oh, I don't know. I probably said it wrong.
That's okay, Trini.
Trini.
That's okay,
is
Trini.
amazing. But I have to say, Trini messed up my name on our interview.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, she called me Samantha Fox, and my name is Samantha Lockwood.
What?
I know. And I was like, my name is Samantha Lockwood. She's
That's
like,
a little
I'm
awkward.
so sorry. I know. Well, it's okay. But
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
messed up her last name. So we're tit for tat now.
One for one.
1 for 1, yeah.
And I will leave a link for your IG as well as the Hot College of.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'll
Thank
leave it
you.
in my posts. And yeah, guys, thank you for joining us. And we will see you
Thank you for listening. Yeah.
in more podcasts. There's more podcasts. There's the Mauna Kea podcast. There's tons of more podcasts that I'm filming. It's getting crazy. And I love it.
Good. I'm looking forward to tuning in for your rest of your shows too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And come see Samantha here in her yoga studio. I'm telling you guys, it's no joke. If you guys really want a good workout, you guys want something legit, come here because, dang, I almost passed out. And I've never felt passing out before, but that, I literally, I couldn't see. I didn't,
Yeah.
when I sat down, I was like, wow, I don't remember.
So much oxygen coming to your brain again that you just get dizzy. But you did fine. You did great.
Thank
You just
you.
sat down. That's normal. Like your first few classes, you know, you get a little dizzy, sit down, and then just get up and try again in a second. Yeah. Perfect.
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 Thank you guys. Have a great day. Shoots.